Hello Nishant, it's a pleasure to have you here today speaking to Sattva Group. I'm Suchithra Vivek and we look forward to a very insightful conversation and look forward to hearing your views. We're delighted that you're designing some of our upcoming residential projects for Sattva Group in North Bangalore. So just to get started, how did you begin your career as an architect and what inspired you to become an architect?
Hi Suchithra, thank you for having me and thanks to Sattva Group for having organized this. My journey to architecture takes me back to school, and that was a time when my parents were looking to buy a home. And they would go out to these project sites and get those brochures from the project sites and bring them back home. And I as a kid those days would sit in the evenings and try to re-sketch those drawings.
Okay.
And try to imagine how these buildings would eventually start shaping up when they are built. That was a very early exposure to architecture, and from there the passion just grew, and here I am.
So Nishant, can you tell us a little bit about Aedium Designs, your architecture company?
In my 20 years of experience, I have had the opportunity to work with top design practices in the country. And these experiences that I gained only broadened my expertise. And co-founding Aedium Design was a natural progression in my journey. I have co-founded Aedium Design with a group of creative thinkers and like-minded architects. Our portfolio includes a wide range of projects from commercial, residential, manufacturing to healthcare and hospitality and co-working spaces as well.
Okay.
We are a one-stop design consultancy, having all design services under one roof, and that's our strength.
That sounds great, and that sounds like a lot of things that you do. So Nishant, can you tell us a little bit more about the design aspects and how do you approach a new project and your views on sustainability as well?
So approach to a new design project always starts with a site visit and understanding a client's requirements. And I think these are the two important things which really drive the design and start the whole process of the design thinking. It starts there. Now, every site will possess some challenges and some opportunities.
Sure.
And this is where the design comes out of. And how the designer thinks around these is where the difference comes in.
Yeah.
So
Working around the challenges.
The working around the challenges and working on the opportunities and how we kind of integrate the whole design and work around these is what makes every design unique.
And you know, at Sattva we take sustainability very seriously. We'd like to know your views, how you incorporate sustainability into the design.
So for us, sustainable design is absolutely important. And this starts from the first line that we draw on paper. Right from the way the buildings are oriented to reduce the heat gain into the buildings, to the type of materials that we use, the technologies that are getting incorporated in the building, everything comes together to make the whole project a very sustainable project. And it's a very important aspect for us at Aedium Design.
Sounds interesting, yeah. So Nishant, it's really interesting to know that you're doing so much for sustainability. Coming to Sattva's residential projects, are there any unique features in sustainability that you're bringing into the new projects?
Yes, we are. Like you just rightly said, Sattva is very, very focused on being sustainable. And doing projects that are environmentally sustainable. So for example, like you already know that we had a lot of water related issues in the last summer that we had in Bangalore. So Sattva is already thinking ahead, and for all the projects coming in the future, what we are designing, we are trying to ensure that we conserve a lot of rainwater on this project site itself, and so that the project is a net zero project when it comes to water discharge.
That's fantastic, yeah. So Nishant, what are some of the most rewarding aspects of being an architect, personally speaking?
So Chitra, the biggest high in life is to see that idea that was conceived in your mind as a design, taking shape and becoming a reality on site.
Great. So it's a very creative process.
Yes, yes. That's the biggest high I can ever get.
Okay.
To see that idea that started off from the first line that I drew on paper to becoming a real standing building on site, which is going to be there for probably years to come and maybe be there even when I'm not there.
Great. That sounds nice. I think a lot of people would want to know when they start a career in architecture, do you have to be really good at drawing as a kid to become an architect? Is that a given or it's not?
It's not necessary that you have to be good in drawing or sketching or be an artist to become a good architect. But yes, it has helped to have some insight of art and being able to do good drawings. It will help you in architecture. But it's not that if you were good in drawings, you will be a good architect. No, it's not.
So it's not a prerequisite
It's
for
not
the
a prerequisite.
Okay.
It's not really a prerequisite, but it helps.
Sure.
Definitely helps in understanding a lot of principles of architecture.
That's interesting to know, yeah. So Nishant, as we know, the world is moving really fast, right? So how do you stay updated on the latest technology and trends in architecture today?
There are multiple ways that I stay updated about the trends that are happening. One is through the internet. I mean, the internet has made the world a very small place.
Sure.
And information overload, so we can sit here and read about anything that we want to read about. So going online and seeing what work is happening across the world is something that I do almost on a daily basis.
Okay.
And then meeting industry peers, attending events, listening to other people talk about their work. I think all this kind of put together keeps me updated about what's really happening in the industry.
Great, yeah. So Nishant, since you're such a successful architect yourself, what advice would you give to young graduates and people who have just starting their career as architects?
I think a few things which I feel are extremely important. Get your fundamentals right. Focus on getting your fundamentals right, and that's a very, very good beginning. Because if the foundation is strong, the build's going to last a long time. Then the second is to find yourself a good mentor, because a good mentor is always makes a one world of a difference for your whole journey.
Yeah.
Never stop learning, because continuous learning is something that's absolutely important in today's changing world. After all that, what's also important is to understand the business of architecture that no college teaches you.
Yeah.
So understanding the business of architecture is absolutely important in anyone's growth journey.
Okay.
And after all that, what's absolutely important is to be committed and hardworking and be true to the craft, because only talent doesn't take you anywhere. You have to be driven, you have to be hardworking, have to be committed to what you're doing.
Yeah. Did you have any mentors when you started off your career?
Oh yes, I've had a lot of mentors who've helped me and guided me and made me who I am today. Right from my initial days of school, when I actually got introduced to architecture, talking to people who were in the industry at that point of time, people who have kind of guided me during my internship, the people, my seniors that I've worked with in the large firms that I've worked around.
Okay, and which school of architecture did you graduate from?
I graduated from University Vishweshwaraya College of Engineering in Bangalore.
Okay, great. So Nishant, I believe you live in Jakkur, which is considered to be a suburban area in Bangalore. Can you tell us a little bit about the differences in the quality of living today in Bangalore between urban and suburban? And how do you think this impacts the design aspects of a building?
Suchithra, the biggest difference in suburban to, say, urban living in Bangalore today is the availability of large land parcels.
Sure.
Because of the suburban areas having larger open land parcels today, you see a lot of projects which have a lot of green areas and a lot of amenities, which are probably missing in the urban areas. The urban areas have got congested. It's largely single unit dwellings where people live in, which do not have amenities, access to large open areas where children can play, people can just go out for a walk in the evenings. So those are the positives that I see in suburban areas and suburban living because of the larger parcels of land and bigger projects which have a lot of amenities, large green spaces. That's other positives. You might say that I'm living in an urban area and I'm 5 minutes away from work today. And from a suburban area, you need to travel an hour to get to the city center. But that is also now blurring because of the availability of metro. Every point is well connected.
So that's really interesting. In terms of architecture, because you have so much more green spaces in suburban areas, are you able to add a lot more features in Sattva's projects?
Definitely. Because of the availability of larger land parcels and bigger green spaces and lung parcels in the suburbs, especially north of Bangalore, from where I come from, we are able to provide a lot of amenities in projects and a lot of green areas as well.
Sure. And I think people today are also concerned about the connectivity, right, of North Bangalore being further away. How do you, what do you think we could do to overcome that concern?
I think that is not at all a concern because the infrastructure, especially to north of Bangalore, is really, really good. And that's what is driving the growth of North Bangalore. The infrastructure. And that's precisely in place because of the airport in the first place. But yes, I don't see that as a challenge. You might live in an urban area and tell me that I can get to my workplace in say 5 minutes. And you live in a suburb and I take an hour to get back. But the positives are that I live in a community where there are large open spaces. I have a beautiful clubhouse. I have spaces where my children can go play. I don't have to be worried that, you know, they have to commute to another club to say play badminton.
So it's completely self-contained.
And those self-contained societies are very few in the urban areas because of availability of land parcels.
Yeah, and some of the concerns that parents have about schools, being far away. I think today the best of international schools are also in
Yes.
suburban areas.
Yes, so if you see the new age international schools are all in the suburbs today.
Yeah, so it becomes a self-contained living.
Yes,
Yeah.
so you have a self-contained society which has got large green spaces, it's got
Yes.
all the amenities that you need to stay, it's got proximity to, say, schools,
Yeah,
you have got good healthcare.
yeah. Oh, sure. So North Bangalore is one of the most burgeoning areas in Bangalore today. You're designing some great projects for Sattva in that area. Can you throw some light on North Bangalore?
North Bangalore, I think, is one of the fastest growing suburbs
Yeah.
of Bangalore. To the effect that I think that is the city center today, or it will be the city center in no time from now.
Yeah.
So, and that's primarily getting driven because the airport came up there, that brought the whole infrastructure in place.
Yeah.
And that infrastructure started driving a lot of growth. And the availability of large land parcels, a lot of open space, started this whole growth of that area.
Yeah. So Nishant, speaking about the large expansive spaces and green features of North Bangalore, what are some of the advantages you're able to bring into Sattva's projects in North Bangalore?
North Bangalore is giving us larger land parcels, which a lot of open areas. And we are really able to utilize that to our advantage in design by providing big, large lung spaces which are green,
Yeah.
getting good amenities, getting a good clubhouse with a lot of amenities thrown in. Having said that, what's also important to understand is BIAPA, as the authority that governs projects in and around the airport
Yeah.
area, will ask for a much larger open space reservation compared to the other parts of Bangalore.
Yeah.
So that itself put projects around the airport at an advantage
Yes.
when it comes to providing green space, because the law mandates that we leave a lot more space as open space
Yes.
to be left as reserved space. That's what helps us in getting a larger lung parcel for the landscape.
So given that you have the advantages of BIAPA as well as the connectivity in North Bangalore, you would say it's a win-win situation for architects designing projects in North Bangalore.
Definitely. I mean, it's an opportunity which we really utilize to the best of our advantage.
Yes.
Because infrastructure is good,
Yeah.
really cuts down travel time.
Yeah.
We get large parcels of land which we can really carve out beautiful designs and
Yeah.
have a lot of open areas
Yeah.
left out for people to enjoy.
Yeah.
Definitely is a win-win situation for everyone. What's also important to understand is that the whole urban-suburban lines are really blurring, and
Yes.
it's very, very prominent, at least in the north of Bangalore. You've got schools, you've got access to good healthcare,
Yeah.
you've got the malls coming in,
Yeah.
retail, F&B. You don't need to
Absolutely.
come out of North Bangalore
Yeah.
for anything.
Yeah.
Except if your workplace is, say, in some other area, you would come out, otherwise you don't. I mean, I
Yeah.
live in Jakur,
Okay.
and I don't need to cross Hebbal flyover for anything, other
Sure.
than my workplace that's in the city center.
So from what you're saying, we understand that moving to suburban areas, especially North Bangalore, and the fast-growing suburbs around Bangalore is really a great proposition, even for parents who want to think of putting their children into schools.
Definitely. I mean, I stay in the north of Bangalore, and I've seen that area change from when I was in school to what
Yeah.
it is today.
Yeah.
From a very sleepy old town suburb
Yeah.
to what it is today is a tremendous change that the area has gone under.
Yeah.
I have friends who've lived in South Bangalore,
Yeah.
but have now moved to north of Bangalore only for this opportunity that it provides in terms of schooling for their children. Good international schools are
Yeah.
all in the north of Bangalore.
Because earlier we had all our schools located in the CBD, like the best
Yes,
of education in Bangalore.
Yes.
And that's totally changed with international schools.
Yes, so
moving to the
the new age
suburbs.
schools are all in the suburbs, and most of them are concentrated around north of Bangalore. And that's, I think, one of the reasons why the north of Bangalore is growing so much. And it is
Absolutely.
an ideal destination to be.
So coming to a sense of community, contrary to what people think that it's better in urban areas, do you think suburban areas have an advantage for community living today?
Yes, I definitely think that it makes a big difference. I would just tell you why I think it does make a big difference. Primarily, urban areas have independent houses and not large gated communities, which
Yes.
are integrated communities.
Yeah.
Now, gone are the days when we knew each and every person who stays in that colony.
Yeah.
People are busy with their own lives and they don't really have so much time. You wouldn't know who your neighbor is if you're living in an independent house. Largely, that's become the social scenario today.
Yeah.
Contrary to that, if you live in a gated community, you have an active social life.
Yeah.
You will know your neighbors, and you will know your neighbors more because your children have more friends than you have.
Yeah.
I mean, I know a lot of people in my community because of my kids' friends.
Okay.
So I know he is his dad.
Okay.
And because of my kid having so many friends,
Yeah.
I have, kind of made my social circle much larger today.
Yeah.
And that's happened because of a gated community.
So I think suburban living scores in that aspect for sure.
Yes, definitely. Because your larger gated communities are more in the suburbs and less in the urban areas.
Contrary to what people thought that, central Bangalore living in.
There was a time when you knew as a kid, you knew everyone who stayed in the colony. But today it's not the same. The social scenarios are changing.
Yeah.
In independent houses, you do not know who's living next to you because people don't talk, they don't socialize that much.
Yeah.
But it completely changes when you live in a gated community.
Yeah.
You start celebrating festivals together. You start having community programs together.
Yeah.
And that starts driving your social life.
So I think suburban scores in a big way.
Definitely, it does.
Sure. So Nishant, these are some really insightful thoughts that you've shared with us. How do you see the difference between urban and suburban living evolve in the future? Where do you think this is going? In what direction?
So Suchithra, I think the urban-suburban lines are already blurring. I think they will disappear in the coming future.
Sure.
I mean, you can already see that the suburban areas are very self-contained units where people do not really need to get out of that area if they belong to that area and they live there.
Yeah.
Apart from their workplace, if their workplace is not in that area as well.
Yeah. And how has this changed since you were a child? You used to live in the urban parts.
It has changed a lot.
Yeah.
I used to live in Yelahanka during school, and that was a time that even if you go buy something or do some shopping or watch a movie, you need to come down to the city center to do that.
Correct.
Today I don't need to. I just need to cross a road.
Yeah.
So the lines between urban living and suburban living are blurring. Gone are the days when only the urban areas had all the entertainment options, had the shopping, had the offices, had everything concentrated, and the suburban areas were sleepy old towns. Those areas, that time is over.
Sure.
The lines between urban and suburban are completely blurring, and I think they've almost disappeared because urban areas have their own social spaces to kind of go. You have the malls happening.
It's
completely self-contained.
Yeah.
There are malls, there are healthcare options, there are schools, there are offices as well.
Yeah.
Most of the suburbs have a lot of offices coming up today. So if someone likes to stay to their grow space, they don't need to be in the urban areas only.
Yeah.
I mean, you could live in Jakur and you could be in the north of Bangalore.
Yeah, so as an architect, you think there's immense possibility for you to be designing in suburban areas in the future.
Yes. So both urban, as an architect, I mean, both urban and suburban areas have their challenges, their positives.
Yeah.
And I feel that suburban areas give us a lot of opportunity to design.
More freedom.
More freedom to design.
Yeah.
Predominantly from larger parcels of land which are available in the suburban areas.
Yeah.
We had a lot more freedom to design.
Ultimately, you'll be passing on that advantage to the end consumer, obviously.
Exactly.
So we can see that you're a creative person and very passionate about being an architect. And we're very happy that you're designing for Sattva. Can you tell us some really outstanding achievements that you've had in these last 20 years?
So Suchithra, Aedium Design is a young 2-year-old company with a 36 million square feet of portfolio.
Okay.
That talks a lot about the commitment to work that we have and what we have been able to design. In these 2 years, we've grown to 100 plus people.
Okay.
And we are present in multiple locations across the country. We are headquartered in Bangalore, with offices in Hyderabad and Pune. Shortly, we will be in Mumbai as well.
Okay.
We have projects ranging all the way from down south in Kasargod to up north in Barmer.
Okay.
And from Hyderabad to Pune in the east to west.
Yeah.
We've also been fortunate to have won the Asia Pacific Stevie Awards for business services. And this speaks a lot about Aedium Design and where it's going in the future.
It sure does, yeah. So Nishant, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to a young, upcoming and yet very experienced architect like you. We're delighted that Aedium Design is designing so many projects for us across Bangalore. Thank you so much for your insights and views. It's been a real pleasure.
Suchithra, thank you so much for your kind words. It's a lot of inspiration for us also to deliver and to push the boundaries and design much better in the future as we go along. It's an absolute honor and our pleasure to be designing for Sattva Group.
Thank you so much. Thank you for this conversation.
Thank you so much.